Hello everyone and welcome to another Game Jam time-lapse. This time is the Triple Trijam. The way normal Trijams work is you have just 3 hours to make a game. Here, you have 3 hours to make a game, then another 3 hours to improve on it, and then another 3 hours to improve on it again. So I chose a chain reaction theme for this one, and as you can see, I started with the graphics. I ended up focusing on the looks and the aesthetics for this one a lot more than I usually do. I made a test run and then I make the lighting and then I added colors to everything to give the player more feedback and to separate the different parts of the level. End goal is green, the transport thingies are blue, etc. I made these spinny thingies to allow for the theme to progress and then slightly redesigned them. Added the trigger to the end goal thing and reshaped the spinning blade just a little bit, as you can see. I put them into position and I'm aligning everything to make it satisfying because it's more satisfying when things are aligned. Yeah. And I'm looking up the Unity events as I make the activatable script so that the spinny things could be stopped or unstopped when you click on them, and which was kind of partly suggested by the Trijam Discord community. I gave them triggers so they can be actually clicked on, and then I'm setting up the finish script right about here. Yeah. I reshaped the trigger size because it was kind of annoying to click on. And I made the starter dispensers with a bit of UI on them to indicate how much balls it can store. Also, it's a kind of a diegetic UI. So as you can see, I'm making it so that when you click on them, they spawn. I'm just messing around with how it could do if it's infinite. And now I'm making the counter text updates whenever it's being clicked on. Now I make the game manager to tie things together. It makes things work when it's all tied together. So that's basically it. I made the collecting UI on screen and made the score to update as you collect. When the objective reached the goal, it kind of is like that. I stole a font from another project of mine. And here I'm adding some animation and adding some nice and simple in-game tutorial and changing the collection counter on the finish to be on the finish collector. Tried custom buttons but couldn't quite figure out why the image doesn't split correctly, so I kind of ended up giving up on that and because not enough time. I just made sure that the game loop works correctly. I'm running out of time for the first round, so I make a quick level management system. And my initial method didn't work as it would take too long, so there we go. First 3 hours on itch. For the second 3 hours, I started with the UI transition animations, which are good because it's fast and easy to make, but not really performant if you have a lot of UI to animate, which I don't. Here I paste in a part of a script from someone else, which allows to drag objects around the scene. So naturally, I add a small touch of on-screen tutorial, so it would be pretty obvious that it's out of place and should be moved, as well as adding color to make it stand out even more. I link it with the game manager so the player wouldn't be able to move them once the level has started, as that would allow for a lot of cheating. I add in a button to start the level, basically enabling physics and simulating the contraption. I add in a little more animation for the UI and link it up with the game manager in the inspector. I playtest the level a few times to make sure it's working and change up a few animations as I either add in or omit some other things here and there. I finally connect the drag script with the start level event in the game manager and make the tutorial bits on the screen pop up when the player presses play, so they know what they are doing, as well as making the materials change for both the draggable objects and the clicky dispenser for visual feedback. Here I'm fixing a part of a drag movement script which didn't quite work, so yeah. Speed pipes! Those were an idea from the beginning, inspired by an old game called The Incredible Machine. Basically what they do is when something enters in one direction, the pipe sends it shooting in the direction it is facing, allowing for a lot of very fun combinations and things to physically happen. I initially make it so the thing works, not realizing that it's not working correctly in the slightest. I add an arrow to the side to give a somewhat obvious indication as to which direction it shoots in. I make it a prefab and I don't do anything for a few seconds. Here is me setting up a color palette for my game, which is super satisfying to watch, but it ends too quickly. At least the colors fit now. I reworked my level management system so the levels are just scenes, since I don't have time to set up a method to have multiple levels in one scene, but reset just the current level without resetting everything else. I make a variant of the spinny thingies, which are sideways, meaning it would be definitely allowing for chain reactions since I'm making these levels in kind of 2 dimensions. Cinemachine! I can finally have some nice camera movements to further make sure the player has a sense of where the beginning of the level is and where the goal is, thus showing the entire level. And since this is Cinemachine, I can have multiple virtual cameras acting as points for the camera to move to, since it's in Don't Destroy and Load, and then loop through each one of them to allow for some smooth action. I link that to the game manager so that when the cinematic intro is done, I can then move stuff around into position and the UI turns on appropriately from the level transition. Errors! Errors happen when I forget how to do properly or don't reference some of the things right. On to making a new level. This time I wanted to make something more chain reaction-y so that one thing makes another move. So I mess around with the physics, and since I'm running very low on time, I just simplified the level to the bare minimum and build. I playtest the level a bit more to make sure that everything does actually work and then build. There we go, the end of the second 3 hours just gone. It is the final 3 hours of polish, so I need to focus on making sure all the level transitions work perfectly smoothly, have some more levels for the public to enjoy, and sound for the game. I started strong with another level, kind of looking similar to the first one, but ends up being bigger and implements more mechanics features. I actually make it so that all rigid bodies turn kinematic at the start of the level and can only be moved once the players press play, which ends up being an unforeseen bug that I fix in 1 minute. You can see that at the end of the video. I add in the speed pipes to make for a fun little trick that the objective ball ends up doing, and I test the pipe and find out it doesn't work right just after I add the copy of the pipe facing the opposite direction. I set up some movable parts for the player to position / move away to get both the objectives to the end, just like so. Here I add in a quote-unquote pressure plate mechanic so that when you get something else to touch the top of the spawners, it acts just like if you were to click on it. I test through the levels, make sure they are completable and the transitions look good. Time to fire up BFXR to really just steal some of the pre-generated sounds I had, to add more juiciness to the game, as it's very nice to have complementary sounds in the game. Link all the sounds to the relevant events and make sure they are stored in the right prefabs. I'm actually quite liking this game, and I feel like I do want to expand on it and create more levels and puzzles for the player to solve, because it's really quite fun. Here I'm fixing up a tiny bug that kinda happened because I saved the prefab incorrectly. Time for Computozer. I share this program a lot. Here are some of the tracks it creates. You get the point. I'm not gonna spoil anymore as most are in the game. I download the best ones and listen through each one to see which ones fit what levels. I playtest to see what it sounds like, and then I'm off to create another small level. This time I'm finally using the pressure plate mechanic to dispense the balls into the game, but I actually have filler balls, like the green ones you might have noticed in the big level, which actually don't count towards the score, but only help to complete the contraption. So in this level, one of the dispensers fires a filler ball instead, which then ends up dispensing an objective ball. I changed the color of these particular dispensers so the player knows that these are different, and since they know that they can move the red pieces to solve the puzzle, they can actually complete the level pretty easy. Some minor tweaks here and there, change up the levels. I make a quick fix so that the next level button doesn't even show up on the screen once you finish the last level. I finally fixed the custom button graphics, since the problem was that the size just stretched because my buttons were simple instead of being tiled. Time to get the screenshot companion tool, which is a nice and free tool to make screenshots with precise resolutions, which makes it nice for screenshots to use in itch. Obviously, it's a screenshot. I submit my final 3 hour polish build, and since build time and publishing time doesn't count towards the 3 hours of work, I spend as much time as I need to get the details on the game nice, clear, and presentable. I checked the recording to see the exact time for my work, and I've ended up with 1 minute to spare. Remember I said I had 1 minute to spare to fix a bug? Well, here it is. Here's my evidence that I'm fixing a bug in 1 minute. It was a problem with the setting all the rigid bodies to kinematic, because it only did at the beginning of the game and never did it again. So I'm changing it to be in the level manager. A bad fix, true, but it works. So I used the maximum 9 hours perfectly. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.